and welcome to the Hybrid School Builders Podcast. I am your host, Rebecca Foley, and I am so glad you are joining me today. I am a fellow grassroots founder who is hoping to make your journey toward founding a sustainable hybrid school a little bit easier. If you are dreaming of starting a hybrid school, or perhaps you've already gotten started, you are in the right place. Join me as we dive into real stories, practical tips, and hard-won lessons that I have learned to help you launch and grow your program with confidence. Remember, building a hybrid school is not just about creating a business or creating jobs. It's not even about just serving the children who attend the program. It's literally about reshaping the landscape of education, and we can do that one community, one entrepreneur, and one program at a time. If you are going to be talking to churches, here is what I would recommend. Well, first off, how do you even find them? And I have done everything from just looked at a map of the different churches in the area and then driven by them. If you have a team of people, it can be really helpful to have them help you contact different buildings, even just look at buildings. And we have more than once literally driven by buildings in the area and been they look like they have classrooms off the side, and called them up or knocked on their door or sent them an email and introduced ourselves and said, here's who we are. We noticed that you look like you have some classrooms. Would you be interested in meeting with us and letting us look around your facility? Are you interested in partnering with our mission? Because we were a nonprofit, and here's what we do. Here's how big we are. Here's how many kids we serve. Here's what days we would need. And just giving a really brief synopsis of who you are and what you do, and reaching out to them that way. Okay. And like you said, if you have a little building committee together where you get maybe, 3 or 4 people who can help you search and contact and follow up, and then you have regular meetings with them so that there's accountability, maybe they'll take different areas of your community or reach out to different places, and then you check back in and see how everybody is doing, if they heard back, how open the people were, whatever. That can help take some pressure off of you if you have some people to help you with that. The process would be, first you just contact and introduce yourself, be professional, tell them what you do, tell them how big you are, tell them what days you meet, and all of that. And then right away, if they're open to talking to you, you want to go see the facility, right? You want to say, can I come and look around your building as quick as you can? And then you literally go meet with, whoever, and they will walk you around, and you look at the classrooms, you look at the parking lot, you look at the outdoor space, and make sure that you're ready with certain questions, but you don't want to dump on them. But you do want to say, there's locking doors or access to bathrooms, or even the capacity of their, septic system or something, depending on how many kids you have. Safety things. Setup is a big thing. Is it okay if we set up our chairs and tables? Do we have to move them every week? Can we put things on the wall? Maybe just a map or whatever. How much access do you have to that? You want to look at the size of things, if they've already got Sunday school rooms with different tables and chairs in them, and maybe they have a preschool room, but you have 5th graders that you need to put in that room. That can become an actual problem. So you want to look at the size of the furnishings that they have, asking if you can share those. It doesn't make a lot of sense to take down their chairs and put up yours and then, put theirs back up again. So usually you will be sharing stuff like that. And most churches will have maybe a nursery, a preschool room, and then some early elementary Sunday schools rooms. And so they already have different age groups. So hopefully it can work out if the sizes and the number of classrooms that you need line up. But you want to look at things like that. Do they have chairs? Do they have tables? Storage is big. Is there a closet? Are you able to maybe share bookshelves, or even put up a bookshelf? Can we have a little cabinet here that can just stay here and we can lock it and put things in? And before I say that, and cleaning is a big thing. If you have any more than 20 or 30 kids, 2 or 3 classes, and even with that, I highly recommend that you have regular, professional to some degree, cleaning for after your kids are there. Your teachers can wipe down the tables and, make sure there isn't a huge mess, and that's not too much to ask of them. But hallways and rugs and bathrooms and really cleaning things up well takes time, and it can make or break a relationship. It absolutely can. You want to make sure that you've budgeted in for some sort of cleaning, whether that's paying a parent to do it or hiring a cleaning company. And then you want to tell the church that, ask them what their cleaning arrangements are right now, and tell them, we really want to make sure the building stays clean and it's clean up after we leave, but we don't want to have too much on our staff. So we have this person arranged, or we're looking at this cleaning company. How do you guys feel about that? And sometimes, I've talked to churches that were like, oh, it's fine. We have someone who helps with that. And there was a time when there was one building where that worked out because they had already shared and they had already kind of figured it into their rent. They already had a cleaning company coming regularly that was used to cleaning up after both. They came a couple times a week. But in every other instance, we had to say, where our kids make more mess than you think they will. We try to be tidy and stuff, but we don't want to have we don't want to annoy you guys. So I really would like to make sure that we have some sort of professional cleaning. Okay. So in that case, we asserted that we really would like to partner with cleaning, and that we're able to work out an arrangement where we kind of split the cost of cleaners coming in, and they would come after we left, that same night. And that way the church was clean for the Sunday service. So that is a pretty big deal in my experience. And it's also a mistake that I made in my budget, because in the first year, I just didn't realize how much cleaning was going to be and how important it was to budget for it. So it took a few years when I realized parent volunteers and teachers are getting really burnt out trying to make sure this church is clean enough when they leave at the end of the day. And we really need to hire this out, but I'm still leveling out my budget and didn't build this in and had to figure out where that money was going to come from. Okay. So make sure that you just budget generously from the beginning. Okay. And again, this is where your 3-year plan can come in really handy, because you can certainly adjust from year to year. But if I'm just going to stay at 30 kids, we're going to have a K through second, that's all we're going to have, or whatever, then you can budget based on that. But if you're starting with maybe a K through second, but then you're going to grow to a third and a fourth and a fifth, and by the third year, you are really hoping you have 75 kids. What worked in year 1 with 25 kids might not work in year 3 with 70 kids. Okay. I know. All right. And it worked with 25 kids, but it doesn't work anymore. Now there's too many kids. There's too many rooms. There's too much bathroom usage, too much hallway, too many boots in and out for anyone to just do it as a volunteer job. Okay. So that's where having your 3-year plan is really helpful. But it's helpful in other ways too, because it can help you know how many classrooms you need so you don't have to move again if you don't have to. And it helps you just think ahead and build a relationship with the building. Okay. Okay. So for the church relationship, you reach out, ask those questions about safety and locking doors and bathrooms and setup and cleaning. And, you get a good feel for all of it. The other really, really big thing that you want to understand is talking to the right people. Okay. Sometimes a pastor or an elder will show you around and they might be enthusiastic about, oh, this is great. We're going to have you guys in the building. It's going to be awesome. But the person who runs the budget maybe isn't there. Or the Sunday school director who, arranges classrooms for Sunday school isn't there. Okay. In my experience, people who are in the building day to day, maybe working in the offices, like the pastor, it's important for them to be behind what you do. But it's also really important for the people who are sharing the classrooms with you to be behind what you do, as well as the financial people Not necessarily do they have to be behind your mission, but they do need to be part of the conversation because they might be worrying about how much toilet paper you're going to use and how much the gas bill is going to go up. When they hear what, you're going to have how many kids in the building, how many people are going to be here for how many hours, you know what that's going to do to our utility bill. And when that meeting happens a month later, after you think conversations are going really well, and then they come back to you with some rent number that wasn't what you planned, that can throw you off. Okay. So I would really recommend that you present who you are, ask the right questions from the beginning, and ask that all of the people who are relevant, anyone who's in charge of sharing, programming in the same space with you, people who are going to be in the building while your kids are there, and anyone who's in the financials is part of the conversation and has given feedback. It's wonderful if you can meet with all of them at least once, okay, and actually meet them and talk to them, okay? That's really, really helpful. And then from then on, you want to have proactive conversations. It doesn't have to be every month, but in the beginning, it's probably good if it is. Every month, you're just meeting with the relevant people. It can be a 10-minute meeting if it has to be. But if you have those proactive conversations, it can really, really, really help not have like little annoyances start to get on each other's nerves, right? Like people are standing outside the pastor's office and having long conversations for 30 minutes every week, and it's really annoying him, and like that stuff can start to like it's silly things that can easily be fixed if there's a proactive place to just say, well, we noticed that at this time of day this happens, or a particular teacher is a little messy and isn't cleaning up like they said they would, and there's just like a billion little things that can happen. And if you have a proactive way to like ask questions and say, hey, how's everything going? Like, are you guys okay with this? Is there anything you're concerned about? You do that in both directions. That really, really helps with the relationship. Okay. All right. So those are my tips on buildings and finding a facility. One last thing, if you're in any kind of commercial space or anything, you're obviously going to have like a commercial agreement, like a rental agreement, that you're probably going to work with a lawyer or a realtor. If you're with a church, it's usually not an official lease because, again, it causes issues sometimes. But I would strongly recommend that you have a written agreement with as many details as you can put into it, okay? Contact people, door usage, safety things. Contact people, which classrooms and closets you have access to, cleaning arrangements, money exchange, timing on that, all of that stuff. I would strongly recommend that you write it all down. Like you can't put too much detail in. You want contact people on both ends, on your end as well as on the church's end. Who's responsible if there's an emergency? What if a toilet overflows? Who do you call? All of that stuff you want to make sure you have it written out and on both ends what the arrangement is so there is no confusion, okay? There still might be some confusion, but you want to minimize that as much as possible. If it's possible to get a longer lease, like a 3-year lease from the beginning, I'm calling it a lease. With a church, it's probably not officially going to be a lease, okay? A 3-year agreement with them from the beginning, try to do that, all right? They might be tentative about that. They might say, well, let's see how it goes. We'll do a 1-year lease. And another thing you want to include is like a timeline. If somebody wants to pull out of the agreement, you want to put in a cushion of a certain amount of time. They can't just pull the rug out from under you, and you can't just, you don't want them accommodating all of this, and then you suddenly just decide to go somewhere else in November, or notice if you're going to end the agreement or whatever. But if possible, if you feel like everything is going well and you really like this space and the communication seems to be going well on both ends, if you can try to get a longer term lease or, agreement, it just helps with the expectations so that it's not always like redoing things every single year, even though you still do want to make sure that you're communicating and adjusting as you need to. Thanks so much for listening today. Don't forget to subscribe and make sure you check out the resources I am developing at startahybridSchool.com. Send me an email anytime. I would love to hear from you. Until next time.